Yo, what's up, guys? Greg2G here, and I just discovered that my character has no reflection. What the heck is the meaning of this? Not for real, guys. Today we're gonna be going over my skills, my talents, all that good stuff. I get the question all the time, especially when I'm live streaming. Can you show me your skills and talents and all that good stuff? Well, I still think it's a little bit early to be like, going really in on these, but seems like it's gonna be months before we actually get to like 90, and at least probably like at least 3 to 6 months before we get to 100. So might as well do it now, I suppose. All right, so let's get into it. We'll start off with the basic talents. So as you guys may have seen before, I have 4 different setups. I have one for like PvE DPS, one for like small groups, five-man groups, one for like large 30 plus people like world bosses or PvP, and one for when I'm soloing dungeons. Now you can see there's like for all 4 of them I have Mimir Spring and Fallen Glacier. I think those, the S for the S talent and the A talent, I think those are by far the best. I mean, Twin's Edge can be pretty good. Twin's Edge is good, but Mimir Spring is really good as well. So it's kind of a toss up for Twin's Edge and Mimir Spring. For like small group or large group, you might want to go with Twin's Edge sometimes. I don't know, it's up to you. But this 40% cooldown reduction every 2 minutes for 20 seconds is ridiculously good. So I prefer Mimir Spring for everything. And Fallen Glacier is just really good. You know, you basically get to almost spam your Ice Glare Shock every 2 seconds or so. And when Mimir Spring is up, it's like every once, like basically instant cast. It's like an instant cooldown almost. When you have the 40% cooldown reduction from Mimir Spring, it's really cool. Okay, let's go into the different other ones, the C and B talents. So for DPS, you want Sand of Time, of course, to get as much crit as you can possibly get, and Loki's Trick to reduce defense even further, and also polymorph 1 additional target. That's always really nice to do. Small group, I do go with Soul Link for the healing. Try to get a little bit of extra healing because I'm, a healing for focused Soul Dancer, but I suppose if you were a DPS focused Soul Dancer, you would probably not even need this. You could just go with your DPS one for almost all of these, to be honest. Large group, we throw in a lot of time so we can, get our time lock a little bit more often in PvP. And solo dungeon is right now I have it this exact same as DPS. I've been messing around with maybe using Recall Light for the extra buffs for solo dungeon, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say because at the same time, I think you have to stay standing in the Recall Light to get the buff. I could be wrong about that. I should actually, let me test that right now. Let's just test that right now. Alright, so there's that buff. Let's see if oh, you can actually, no, you keep the buff even when you're outside of it. Nice. So yeah, using that one might be pretty good for solo dungeon as well, getting a little bit of extra buff while you're kiting and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's kind of hard decision between that and, actually, you know what? This is not a hard decision. I'm gonna change this right now. Because the problem with Mimir Spring is that you have to actually use your EX heal, which actually has a really good long casting time. So when you're doing solo dungeons and you're trying to kite all the time, and then you try to throw down one of these, that half a second or so that you have to stand still to cast that, it can kind of get you killed sometimes. So I usually don't even really use my EX heal that often in solo dungeons because yeah, that cast time is kind of deadly. And this, you can keep moving while you cast your recall light. So I always try to throw out my recall light as much as I can when I'm kiting. All right, so yeah, I just made a change on the fly there. So for solo dungeon, I am using that now from now on. Okay, and yeah, let's go into the EX abilities, I suppose. Actually, let's go to the plan page to talk about those. It'll be easier to talk about it from here. Oh wait, one other thing I should show real quick, and I might be changing this a little bit. I kind of want to move phase shock up a bit, but let me tell you the reasoning behind my priority list here for casting. So time expansion is #1 priority because this gives you a huge boost to your cooldown reduction. So you want to have this running first before you even start your rotation, because it'll reduce the cooldown of everything behind it, right? Because while you have that running, you get a pretty good cooldown reduction boost and some other nice benefits from that. Move speed, crit resist, all that good stuff. So time expansion #1, then ice glare shock #2, just to, because this heals you a little bit and also slows your targets, so it's nice to just throw that out and get them slowed ASAP. And then recall light to get your buff, your AP multi-strike or crit buff from recall light. And then shadowy light to double our witch's kiss. So we do shadowy light and then we do witch's kiss so we can polymorph up to 3 targets in PvE or 2 targets in PvP. And then we do phase shock, which will also cause the enemy to take additional 8% damage for 8 seconds. And then Azure Mark so we use the phase shock and then Azure Mark afterwards, so we do additional damage with Azure Mark. And then Time Lock just on last, because honestly I think Time Lock is the most underwhelming ability that the Soul Dancer has, personally. I mean, it can be useful in certain situations, but most of the time, especially in like PvP, it's like most people, like Blade Masters that are chasing after you, they always have their like not cooldown, crowd control reduction ability up, so it doesn't even really affect them. So yeah, I don't really use Time Lock that much. But yeah, that's the thinking behind my whole thing here. But yeah, I'm thinking about maybe moving phase shock up a little bit, because sometimes it just would be nice to be using that more often to get, because sometimes you get in situations where like phase shock is off cooldown, but so is recall light and all this stuff, so you actually cast these first, which I guess isn't such a bad thing. Yeah, for now I'm going to keep it like this. This is my order, my priority right here. Alright, so yeah, let's talk about EXs. Go into our plans here. Again, we have, well, these plans are a little bit different than my my talent setups. So we have large group again, then we have PvE DPS, then small group, and then PvP, which I use just my normal PvE DPS right now, but I do have different EX. Wait, what? I thought I had oh wait, yeah. The thing is, yeah, down here with deep talents. So the thing is, so I'm using Warmonger here for the PvP because, you want to use your Warmonger, what are they called? Relics. So you can get those additional PvP bonuses. And then they got the PvE DPS on Dragon Slayer. Small group I have on Dragon Slayer right now. I wish I could get can I get a 5th one of these? Oh, I can. 100,000 gold. Because what I would do is have another small group plan for PvP that's on the Warmonger setup. I'll do that later. But yeah. Okay, so basically the EXs, and I just unlocked a new EX, so I might be switching this up, but personally, right now my favorite EX is Dustbuster, because it lasts for so long and you don't actually have to, like, well, thing I hate about all these EX abilities is they are like point blank AoE around you, so you have to actually get close to your target to actually use them. Would be nice if there were some ranged EXs, but yeah. So right now, I'm using this one because it does a really decent amount of damage over the course of 15 seconds and reduces the move speed of enemies. So the thing is, like, so you don't, even if you're not right next to an enemy right away, chances are within those 15 seconds you're going to be next to something. Again, yeah, it's not the best. Yeah, these EX abilities are not the best things for range casters, but this is the one I like right now. But I just unlocked the minefield, which I think, I don't know, I might like this a little bit better. So the minefield does a decent amount of damage as well over time to everything around you, and also causes paralysis for 5 seconds. So that's a really nice one as well. And I was trying to use Creed for a while, but I noticed like I was using it in PvP, and I was like, okay, this will be awesome in PvP. It'll silence your enemies and all that good stuff. So I was using it in PvP, but like a Blade Master would be on me. I use this, and the Blade Master would still be knocking me down and stuff. So I'm like, okay, I guess it doesn't really work. So yeah, I stopped using that. So yeah, right now it's, for me, it's between Dustbuster and Minefield for most of my setups. I do use Scorch for my DPS setup because it's a really short 30-second cooldown. And I use my DPS setup mostly for doing dragon slaying. So that means like basically I can, you get like what, 90 seconds for every wave. So yeah, I can get 3 Scorches off in every wave. And even if I end the wave in like a really quick amount of time, I can still at least count on Scorch to be back up and use it at least 2 more times in the next wave. But yeah, for right now, Dustbuster is my favorite, but I still haven't really tried Minefield that much. I might be switching up to Minefield soon. The other ones, I mean, the other ones aren't bad. Like the Freeze one's pretty good too. But the thing is, like, a lot of them also, not all, a lot of them, but some of them also like make you stay in one place while you cast it, like Winter, and I think there's another one that does that too. So I don't really like that personally, but I mean, they're all these EX abilities are pretty good. But yeah, it's more down to personal preference, I suppose. I prefer to use something that gives me a buff that lasts for a while, so I like Dustbuster and Minefield. As far as Light Beacon and Time Zero, I use Light Beacon for everything. I think the healing from that is amazing. Plus, you know, I use Mimir Spring for pretty much everything, so you gotta have Light Beacon to use Mimir Spring, I think, right? Or does it work with Time Zero? Let me see. Let me check real quick. Well, yeah, Light Beacon. Okay. It would be cool if they actually made this work with Time Zero as well. Because it kind of sucks that you have a talent that is only for one of your EX abilities. So if you ever use Time Zero, it's like, okay, that kind of sucks. But yeah, I use Light Beacon for everything. Time Zero is really good, though. Don't get me wrong. Time Zero is very, very good. I think for 1v1, like 1v1 fights, Time Zero might be, yeah, probably is a lot better than the Light Beacon, but yeah, personally, I just like Light Beacon. I go with Light Beacon. Okay, anything else I need to cover here? So yeah, as you see here, I use Scorch for my DPS setup. PvE DPS. Everything down here is pretty much the same. We'll go into the advanced talents here in a moment. Yeah, let's do that right now. Alright, deep talents. Again, we have our DPS. For this, I have 5 points into cooldown reduction, 4 points into water mastery, and 5 points into Might of Doppelganger. So 10% damage increase, a good chunk of water attack increase, and cooldown reduction is always useful as well. All right, for my small group, I'm not 100% sure how I want to set this one up yet, but this is how I have it right now. The thought is that I use this mostly for like PvP, like 5v5 PvP or small group PvP. Anyway, 5 points in the cooldown reduction, and then 3 out of 3 in gravity effect. So that will actually, you link up with somebody and they won't get CC'd as much. And then I have 1 point into Might of Doppelganger just because I needed to throw 1 point somewhere, and 2% more damage sounded pretty good, and 5% more HP, which is, always really good in PvP. Large group, we have our cooldown reduction, 5 points there as well, of course, and then 5 points into Might of Doppelganger so we can get to our 16% healing bonus from our Recall Light. Solo dungeon, 5 points in cooldown reduction, of course. 5% more HP because you're gonna need it when you're soloing like Bronze 5 or something like that. And then time expansion increases endurance recovery by 80%. That's also very important for your kiting in your solo dungeon. Okay, did I cover everything? I think that might have been it already. Wow, that was 16 minutes. I felt like it was just 5 minutes. To be 100% honest, I felt like I was only talking for like 5 minutes there. I guess I'm getting too used to these things, doing these things. Yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything. Some people ask me sometimes, what skills do you focus on leveling? And like, I always just upgrade all. So it doesn't cost that much to level these up. So I always just upgrade all of them. And then, yeah, sigils. Sigils, obviously, we go by our primary stats. So insight first. I always go for insight first. Oops, didn't mean to close that. Insight first, and then I would go with intelligence. And then what is Magic Tide? Magic Tide for magic attack. Then at this point, I will go with Dex. So int, Magic Tide, Dex. Then Con. Then the 3 of these are, I guess, are up to personal preference. If you want more attack, you can go for that. Defense or elemental defense or physical magic defense. Yeah, completely up to you. But yeah, insight, intellect, magic attack, Dex. While we're on that topic, just in case you guys aren't aware of which stats I prioritize first, I go with insight. This is like on all of my pieces, well, pretty much all my pieces. I have these 6 stats: insight, intelligence, magic attack, dexterity, CDR, and constitution. Those are I think the 6 stats I think are the most important. You could swap out constitution for water attack if you want a little bit more water attack or something like that, or multi-strike or crit, or it depends on whatever you're doing. But if you want to be 100% support focused soul dancer, crit and multi-strike shouldn't really be something you're prioritizing. So and water attack doesn't help your heals at all. So I prefer these 6 stats. And in order, I go with insight, then intelligence, then magic attack, then CDR, then dex, then con. But yeah, try to get all 6 of those is my recommendation. Alright, that's gonna do it, guys. Yeah, that's how I'm rocking my character right now. Like I said, it's obviously this is gonna be completely different once we actually get access to these other tiers of deep talents, like the level 90 and level 100, so we can actually build into a certain direction to get to some of these. But for right now, we're kind of stuck in these top 2 rows. So yeah, that's how I'm building it right now. Thanks so much for your time. Appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. Please subscribe if you enjoy this content, and I'll keep making more of it. Take it easy. Peace and GG's.